Welcome back everybody. Now we're in the middle of packing our van for our next trip away up to Hat Head, which we do every September school holidays. And the one thing that really annoys me is the pile of bikes you end up with every afternoon all through the day, where the kids just come back, dump their bikes, go off and do something else. It's all part of camping, it's very exciting, but I just like to have things a little bit more organised. So I came across this product which is called the Quickstand, and it will turn this disorganised mess into something like this, or even like this, because the brackets are interchangeable, so you can flip them upside down, from side to side, or whatever configuration you want to get the best arrangement in your particular camping spot. Or even something like this, because the brackets will bolt onto anything up to 50mm wide, meaning you mount them onto your drawbar, your rear bumper, anything like that with no dramas at all. Now the bikes simply just clip into the back of the rail, so you can pull them out really easy, and that's what makes this such a simple and effective system. So in this episode, come along as we show you how. So the Quickstand is another one of those great little products that's been developed by a travelling Australian family. They've seen the need for a product like this and they've developed and put it on the market. They were released earlier this year and I went, wow, what a great simple idea. I've been keeping my eye on them going, oh, do I really need a pair? But seeing as though we're going away for a week at Hat Head, and that's one place where I do really want to organise the bikes. They had a 20% off sale just before Father's Day, so I pounced on them, and I've got a set here that I'm going to fit up to our journey. Now, the great thing about these is, as you can see here, they're available both as single sets, so you can get a left or a right hand, and then you can buy them as a pair like this as well. The pair I think is pretty good value, being just under $300. Now they're constructed from 3mm folded steel, and they're also available in 2 different finishes, which is pretty good. So you can customize them pretty much to your liking based on the configuration and also the finish. So we've got a black powder coated steel that you see here, and that works perfectly with our journey because we've got all black accents. Now, if I was going to be mounting this primarily onto our drawbar or our Swan, where we've got all galvanised bars, I'd probably go the stainless steel finish because that looks a little bit nicer and blends in with the galvanised finish that you get on those particular products. So it pretty much will bolt onto, as I said through the introduction, any rectangular steel member that is up to 50mm wide. So with the Jayco Outback products, that's all the rear bumpers, the front drawbars, anything like that. They've obviously got a little nut welded onto both sides, and you've got this 8mm bolt turn knob that secures it into place. Now, one thing I will note if you're bolting them onto a black bumper is that you put this turn knob in from the rear side, because if you're fixing it from the front side, you will end up with little round circles down along the finish of your bumper, unless it's just a galvanised finish. So I've put mine in from the back. I actually learnt the hard way there when I first fixed it in. It did put a little mark on the bumper. So that to me is a nice, easy solution, given they've got a fixing point from both sides. Now these actual receptacles for the tyres, they are adjustable. So you simply push in the tabs and you can move it in and out, and they will suit a range of sizes from 20mm up to 53mm with no dramas at all. Now, I got caught when I first set this up in that I was trying to park the bike with the front wheel received into these, and they've got these little rollers on them that sort of lock the tyre into place. You do the rear wheel, that keeps it all nice and rigid, and then the front you can turn so it doesn't want to tip over or anything like that. I'll show you once we get outside, but these are fully adjustable, so you can adjust them in and out, and you can also use these with things like fishing rods, scooters, anything like that. And the best thing of all is they've got a number of different holes on the back, so you simply undo these nylocks and you can move the actual receptacles from side to side, move them around to suit your particular setup. If you want to have 3 on one, say if you've got 3 small bikes or 3 scooters, you can also buy another one of these mounts, or if you break one of these mounts, you can buy them as spare parts and add them into your kit as well. So it might be a good idea if you do have scooters and bikes. You could fit another one into the middle here, put the scooter in and then sit the bikes on either side. The other good thing that I've noticed in using this over the last couple of weeks where I've been playing around with it is that you can park the bikes on an angle, so they don't have to be straight in, which actually makes them really tight. You can actually park them on a bit of an angle, and it's really the friction of this clamp that holds them into place. So you don't have to worry about it being like fully seated into the clamp itself. It just has to be adjusted so that the tyre is tight into the receiver, and it works pretty well like that. So to me, that is a really good thing. Now, I have noticed one little, not an issue, but something that I've got a solution for right here. And you'll notice on the back side that how this is welded and folded together, that where this mounts onto the bumper or the drawbar, is that it kicks out a little bit. And you'll notice when you clamp this on that it, particularly if you've got a black finish, it'll tend to mark that finish. So all I've simply done, which I've already fitted up to the second one while I was mucking around, is I've got some foam that I use on a lot of my projects that I've simply run along the face that has that little kick in it. And I'll show you how we do that right now. And it's a simple thing to do. I've actually got a roll of this 3mm tape. It's a foam tape with an adhesive backing, just like this. And I'll put a link to that in the description along with these as well, so you can easily find what we're using in the video. You simply cut off a strip, peel the backing off, and then you can simply just stick it into place. Just like so, and that provides a little bit of protection to your painted surfaces if you're mounting it up to something like that. Now this provides two solutions. The first is obviously we're not marking up the little corner where it's rubbing up against the bumper. The other thing that I found, which is a real advantage, is that it actually provides a little bit of friction because you've only got one fixing point, and these do tend to want to move around a little bit when the bikes are going on and off. So that just tightens how it fixes on, and it works extremely well, to be honest. So it's a 2-second job you can do. I've also used it on our clothesline, which I'm going to try to do a video on today if I can, but as you can see, we're in here because it's extremely windy outside. So we'll see how we go with that. But I just wanted to quickly show you what these were all about. Now, another thing while we're sitting in here, and it's nice and quiet, we haven't got the wind flowing around everywhere, is that you can obviously mount these from the underside as well as from the top side. And that's going to be primarily based on the orientation that you want these. But one thing you'll notice if you mount this in from the top and you've got a bike with shorter wheels on it, is that it mightn't necessarily reach, particularly on the taller vans. So if you mount it from the underside, that brings it down a lot lower, and I think you get better engagement with the tyres, particularly on kids' bikes and stuff like that. Now with the real small bikes, you probably won't even have the height for where the tyre will reach in, but I think you can actually use the front post of the bike to actually mount it in, or the seat post or something like that, and it will work perfectly fine. And as I said, it works perfectly fine with scooters as well. You just adjust these in, and then the mast of the scooter can actually go through, the same as what I think you would do with a little kid's bike. But remember, they grow out of the bikes really quick, so if one doesn't work in particular, you'll be into a new size before you even know it, particularly with all the seasons we go through, and you'll eventually have a bike that will fit into this, no worries at all. Now, obviously, because it does ratchet out quite a long way, you can fit even the really big tyres into this without any drama at all. But I actually really like these. They're nice and light, and most importantly, they're not too bulky. So you can pack them away somewhere nice and discreet, under a bed, under a lounge, in a little boot space, and they're not taking up a huge amount of room, which you do get with some of your more traditional bike racks. I probably wouldn't even consider taking a traditional bike rack, but for us, this will be a real quick and easy solution that you can simply bolt on, bolt off, and you're done and ready to go for your trip away. And more importantly, you haven't got bikes lying around everywhere. So let's quickly go out to the van. I'll show you how these mount up. You've already seen it anyway, but all the little different configurations you can do, and a few little bits and pieces to watch out for. So on a drawbar, you can locate these pretty much anywhere you want, as long as you've got enough room. So in ours, I could put it like this, and it can go on the top or the bottom, depending on what orientation you need it in. So it makes it an extremely flexible little bracket. You simply just clamp in the turn knob. You can adjust these from side to side, and you're pretty much ready to go. Now on ours, I've got one mounted up the back, just like this, which is probably where I'd want to do it. But on the other side, I've got things like our tap, the jerry can holder, and all that sort of thing that gets in the way. So I've just simply mounted it up the front of the drawbar, which is what Quickstand do in a lot of their demonstrations as well. So you can have both mounted here, you can have both mounted back, you can have them midway. It just depends on how much stuff you have on your drawbar. In our case, the bike carrier actually makes it a little bit tricky to mount it midway because of the bar I've got running through, but I'll probably, in most instances, mount it to our rear bumper because that actually gets them out of sight, keeps it all nice and tidy, and it's really easy to secure them onto the back of the van as well. But it's on the rear where I can see all the potential with all the different configurations because you can mount them from the top side, from the bottom side, on the ends, in the middle, or anything like that. So in our particular application, I can just go simply like this, and then, which I think is actually something that most people wouldn't have thought about, mount the second one in right next to it like so. This is a pretty good, neat solution that has them in from either end, so you can actually secure them up through the back wheels, onto the back of the van, so they're all nice and secure, and you don't have to worry about them when you're leaving them, when you're going away for the day, or when you're sleeping overnight and there's people potentially walking around. But as I said, the big benefit of this, particularly if you've got smaller bikes, is that you can do the same configuration but actually lower the rack by mounting them in just like this. And that will allow the smaller wheel bikes to actually slot into these receivers on each of the racks. So there is a lot of flexibility in this. So let me get a bike and I'll show you how they slot in. So if we just grab Sam's bike here, you simply reverse it in and it locks into place. And obviously you can adjust these to suit all the different tyres. And I will note that this bike has got 24-inch tyres. And if you go too much smaller than this, it probably will be a little bit harder to get them to clip in. And that's where I've sort of suggested with your real small bikes, you might actually be clipping it in using the front of the post like this on this particular bike. But obviously if you've got a standard bike, it's not going to work like that because the wheel is in the way. So you just need to find what will work for you. And you can see here, if you try to do it by the front, it's extremely floppy and it moves around. And that's the beauty of it. You just reverse park them in. If you want to, you can adjust the wheel, which stabilizes them a little bit more, and it's done. It's dead easy, even your kids can do it. So if we just bring the other three bikes in, how cool is that? It's dead easy. And as I described inside, you can actually park these off to the side and they'll still stand up. So you can move the bikes around. You don't have to be super duper accurate about it, and you can get them away, more importantly, from the side of the van so you don't end up with scratches and marks all down the side of it where the bikes are being dumped up against it. Keeps everything all nicely separated, exactly the same as how we like our bike rack, and it works really, really well. And of course there'll be people that only have two bikes, or sometimes you'll only take the two Kicks bikes along because the parents want to have a bit of a rest, and you can simply just put on one bracket and that'll secure the two bikes with no dramas at all. Or if you've got scooters, you know they're prone to falling over all over the place as well. So you can adjust the receiver to take scooters. I'd imagine bodyboards or anything like that. So it just opens up a whole heap of different opportunities depending on what you need to store and stack up on the back or front of your caravan or camper trailer. And in our case, we've got this really long chain that we got from Bunnings. Again, I'll put a link in the description. And I've got a padlock that is key to like to suit our caravan. So this is a 1-key caravan padlock, and it means we use the same key as we do on our front door and all our hatches to secure our bikes, which makes life incredibly easy. You don't have to worry about extra keys or 4 different bike chains to suit all your different bikes. We simply have this, we chain them up at night time, we're going away, and that keeps it all nice and tidy. So I hope this helps everyone out there. This has been a real quick video for me lately. They've all been a little bit long, but we've had a lot of detail to go through on a few videos. I do have 2 long ones coming up, which will be the Jayco Camper Trailers Buyer's Guide. I'm nearly done with that, and that will help everyone out there that's hunting for a Jayco camper trailer, running through all the different configurations, layouts, the differences between the touring, the outback, the bush pack, all that sort of thing. And then we'll have a separate video which is running through all the condition things you look at when you go to inspect a camper trailer you're looking to buy. So that'll be really, really interesting. I've got another few videos that need to slot in there somewhere as well, but thanks for being patient with all the long videos. We'll start getting into some more trim, taut and terrific videos just like this, probably after the September holidays as we run into summer. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I've got a lot of things coming up, so stay tuned for a lot of really good content, a lot of varied content with the journey, our Swan, and also that new camp trailer project I've got in the shed that I haven't really started working on. I'm trying to get all these other odds and ends out before we get too far down the track with that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. If you haven't already, please like the video. It helps us out immensely on YouTube. Put a few comments below on what you think about these racks. I just love how you can flip them upside down, back to front, put them on the drawbar, put them on the bumper, mount them anywhere to get your setup working depending on where you're camping and what kind of bikes and scooters and all that sort of gear you have. But anyway, I better get going. Thanks for watching, and as I always say, get out there, stay safe, have fun, and we'll catch you next time.